Okay, so today we're diving into something that I know can be kind of a sensitive topic for some people.
Yeah.
And that is the idea of autistic adults going no contact
Yeah.
with
Uh,
certain people in their lives. And, I think it's important to start by saying we're not here to judge anyone's choices.
right.
We're just here to try to understand, like, where this decision comes from and what the potential benefits and challenges might be.
And I think that's such a crucial point to emphasize because, there's often a lot of misunderstanding surrounding this decision.
Yeah.
So, today we're going to be looking at this idea of going no contact, specifically through the lens of a blog post that we found. It's titled Adult Autism and Going No Contact, a liberating decision.
Okay.
And I think it offers some really valuable insights into like why this might be a path that some autistic adults choose to take.
Yeah. I mean, just from that title, a liberating decision, it sounds like this is something that
Right.
could be really positive for some folks. So let's like dig into that. Why
Yeah.
why is this even something that people are considering?
Well, in the blog post, the author talks a lot about this feeling of being constantly drained and overwhelmed in certain social situations.
Okay.
And that really resonated with me because, as someone who works with autistic individuals, I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense when you consider some of the common autistic traits like sensory sensitivities,
Hmm.
difficulty with like reading social cues and that kind of thing.
Right, because it's not that folks on the spectrum are antisocial. It's just that some social situations can be
Exactly.
like way more taxing than they are for neurotypical people.
Yeah. And it's not just about feeling drained either. It's about the actual like mental and emotional effort that goes into navigating a world that wasn't really designed for neurodiversity.
Yeah, it's like that autism tax you were talking about last week, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's that extra energy, the extra effort that autistic people often have to expend just to kind of get through the day.
Right? Like if you think about spoon theory, you know that idea that we all have a limited amount of energy each day, and for some autistic individuals,
Yeah,
like everyday tasks can just cost way more spoons.
absolutely.
So going no contact might be a way to like conserve those precious spoons.
That's such a great analogy. And, the blog post really highlights that, like the reduced stress and anxiety is one of the major benefits of making this decision.
Oh, okay.
And, it makes a lot of sense when you think about the concept of masking.
Masking.
Yeah. This is something that many autistic people do, to try and fit in.
Okay.
It's like putting on this performance every time you're around certain people.
So you're saying like trying to suppress their natural way of communicating and moving and reacting
Exactly, yeah.
just to kind of avoid standing out.
Yeah, and you can imagine how exhausting that can be.
Oh, yeah. No wonder people are looking for ways to escape that.
Right, and the blog author really describes it as a feeling of liberation.
Okay, so I can definitely see how that would be like a huge benefit.
Oh, yeah. To like reclaim all that energy that you're spending on
And
masking.
time, you know?
Yeah, and time. So you have more time for yourself, for
Yes.
all those awesome stimming activities, but like seriously, that sounds really transformative.
Oh, it can be. Yeah.
So what other benefits does the blog mention?
Well, one that really stood out to me is increased time for self-care.
Okay.
And, it's not just about hobbies, although those are important too.
Right.
It's also about having like the mental and emotional space to engage in activities that help with emotional regulation.
Yeah, which can be a challenge for a lot of autistic individuals.
It absolutely can be.
Yeah, I can see that. But, I'm thinking like, couldn't you just like
Right.
do those things anyway? Like, why does it have to be
Yeah, that's a good question.
tied to going no contact?
And the thing is, when you're already like so depleted from masking and sensory overload, finding the motivation for self-care can be incredibly difficult.
Okay.
So going no contact can kind of create that much needed breathing room. It's like hitting the reset button.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay, so we've talked about the potential benefits,
Right.
but there are two sides to every coin. What are some of the challenges that the blog acknowledges?
Well, one of the biggest ones that the author brings up is social pressure,
Mm.
especially when it comes to family ties.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our society often sends this message that like family is everything, that you have to, endure any amount of pain for the sake of maintaining those bonds.
Right.
And that can be incredibly difficult for autistic individuals who value like honesty and directness.
Yeah, because those unspoken expectations and all the subtle social cues can just be a minefield to navigate.
Exactly. And it often leads to this really painful dilemma where, you're either kind of suffering in silence to meet those expectations,
Right.
or you risk being judged for setting boundaries.
It's like that damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah,
kind of
sure.
situation.
Absolutely.
And then there's also the potential loss of social connections, even if those connections were really difficult.
Yeah, that's true.
It's still a loss.
It is. It's a real loss, no matter how you look at it. But I think it's important to remember that going no contact doesn't have to mean total isolation.
Okay.
The blog talks about the importance of seeking out neurodiversity affirming communities.
Finding your tribe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Places where you can connect with people who understand your experiences and actually celebrate your neurodiversity.
Yeah, instead of seeing it as something that needs to be like fixed. I
Exactly.
bet that's so freeing
Yeah, it can be.
to be around people who get it.
Absolutely.
But I imagine like the fear of judgment might still be a hurdle for some people considering this path.
You're absolutely right. It takes a lot of courage to kind of go against the grain, especially when it comes to something as personal as this.
Yeah, so like what are some practical tips that the blog offers? Like how do you actually go about making this decision and putting it into practice in a way that feels safe?
Well, they give some really great starting points. But I think it's also helpful to kind of broaden the perspective a bit.
Yeah.
You mentioned the autism tax earlier.
Yeah.
Like, what does that actually look like in day-to-day life, beyond just sensory overload?
Well, one of the articles that we read talked about how this tax can show up in like really unexpected
Oh,
places.
interesting.
Like think about job interviews, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Having to navigate all those like unwritten social rules and while also managing anxiety
Oh, absolutely.
can be incredibly taxing.
Totally. And it's not just about, like feeling drained or whatever. It's about facing these real disadvantages in a system that's not always accommodating.
Right. So it's like this decision to go no contact gets even more complex.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about like escaping difficult people, it's potentially limiting opportunities that might require interacting with those who contribute to this tax.
That's a really good point. It becomes kind of a balancing act, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do you protect your own well-being while also trying to navigate a world that often feels stacked against you?
Right. And that's where I think having a strong support system is like so crucial.
Absolutely.
Because one of the sources that we were looking at really emphasized the importance of self-advocacy for autistic individuals.
Yes.
But like, how do you even begin to advocate for yourself
Right.
when you're already feeling so overwhelmed and misunderstood?
It's tough. It can feel really daunting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is where those neurodiversity affirming communities that we talked about can really be game changers.
Okay.
Because imagine being surrounded by people who validate your experiences, who get why asking for that extra time to process information or that quiet space to decompress is essential.
Yeah, it's like having a cheering section encouraging you to use your voice.
Exactly. And self-advocacy doesn't have to be this big confrontational thing.
Right.
It can start with small steps. Like, telling a friend, hey, I'm feeling overstimulated right now. Would you mind if we move to a quieter spot?
Yeah, right. And maybe even like practicing those conversations
Yes.
in a safe space, like an online support group or something.
Absolutely. The key is just finding what works for you at your own pace.
Okay, so going back to the blog for a sec.
Yeah.
The author really emphasizes self-care as like a vital part of coping with the challenges of going no contact.
Right.
So what are some specific self-care practices that might be particularly helpful for someone on the spectrum?
Well, I mean, given the sensory sensitivities that we've talked about so much,
Yeah.
finding ways to regulate sensory input is huge.
Oh, absolutely.
Like creating a calming environment at home, things like soft lighting or noise-canceling headphones.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about stimming.
Oh, yeah.
Engaging in those repetitive movements or activities that provide that sensory input can be incredibly soothing and regulating.
And there's actually research showing how stimming can help some autistic individuals process information
Yeah.
and regulate emotion. So it's not just like a quirky behavior.
Right.
It serves a real purpose.
Right.
Exactly. It's a shame that it's often misunderstood and discouraged.
So yeah, embracing it as like a valuable self-care practice,
Yes,
that's a huge step towards self-acceptance.
absolutely.
And let's not forget about the power of special interests either.
Yeah, those are important.
Like diving deep into something that you're passionate about
Yeah,
can be a fantastic way to recharge.
absolutely. It's about finding those activities that really light you up.
Yeah.
Make you feel fully engaged and alive.
But what about the emotional side of things?
Yeah,
Because
that's important.
the blog talks about like guilt and fear of judgment as kind of common hurdles.
Right.
So how can someone cope with those feelings?
Well, I think the first step is just validating those feelings.
Okay.
It's completely understandable to feel guilty or worried about what other people might think.
Especially when it comes to family.
Yeah, especially with family.
Because we're often told, family's everything, and cutting ties is the sign of failure.
Right.
So it can be really tough to challenge those, like deeply ingrained.
Societal beliefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's okay to grieve that loss.
It's like mourning the relationship that
Yeah.
you wish you had.
Exactly the person you hope they would be.
Yeah.
And allow yourself to feel those emotions without judgment.
Yeah.
Healing takes time.
There's no set timeline.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about like the why and the how of going no contact.
Right.
But like what about the what next? Like how do you kind of navigate life after making such a big decision?
Yeah, it really is a journey. And one thing that I think often gets overlooked is this idea of identity reconstruction.
Okay.
Because, you've removed these people from your life, people who maybe played a big role in shaping who you thought you were, and it can leave kind of a void.
It's like you're missing pieces of your own puzzle, and you
Yeah.
have to figure out how to put it back together.
Exactly.
In a new way.
It can be challenging, but it's also like a huge opportunity to redefine yourself. Who are you now that you're prioritizing your own needs and well-being? Like, what really matters to you?
And I imagine those neurodiversity affirming communities that we keep talking about
Yes.
can probably play a big role here.
Absolutely, because surrounding yourself with people who accept and celebrate your neurodiversity
Hmm.
can be so validating
Yeah.
during this process.
Yeah.
It's like finally seeing yourself reflected back in a way that feels true.
And then as you start to kind of embrace that authentic self, I imagine like new opportunities and relationships might start to appear.
You're exactly right. You might find yourself attracting people who really appreciate your genuine energy and that unique perspective.
Yeah, people who fit into your new puzzle.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about like those potentially awkward encounters
Yeah.
with people that you've gone no contact with. Like
Yeah.
what if you bump into them at the grocery store or a family event?
Those situations can be really anxiety provoking.
Oh, yeah.
So it's good to have a plan.
Yep.
And the first thing to remember is you don't owe anyone an explanation.
No is still a complete sentence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A polite nod or a greeting is enough.
Okay.
And if they try to engage, you can always just excuse yourself.
Like, sorry, I'm in a rush, or
Yeah.
need to grab something before the line gets too long.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And if they become persistent or intrusive, you have every right to just walk away.
Yeah, protect your peace.
Exactly.
And maybe having like a trusted friend with you
Oh.
at those events could be like a good buffer.
Absolutely.
But what about like those other relationships, friends or family members who might not fully understand your decision? Like
Yeah.
how do you navigate those conversations?
Not everyone will get it,
Right.
and that's okay.
Okay.
You don't have to justify yourself to anyone.
Okay.
A simple, this was a difficult decision, but it's what I need to do for my well-being can be enough.
Short, sweet, to the point.
Exactly. And if they
It-
push for more details, I'd prefer not to discuss it, is perfectly fine. Setting those boundaries is crucial.
Boundaries are healthy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And remember, you get to choose who you share this information with.
Yeah.
If someone isn't supportive, you don't have to engage with them.
So taking a step back, like what does this whole conversation tell us about the need for greater understanding and acceptance of neurodiversity?
It really highlights how much we're still operating in a world that wasn't designed with neurodiversity in mind.
Right.
All that pressure to conform to mask, to fit in,
Yeah.
it can be incredibly damaging.
So in a way, going no contact can be like an act of self-preservation.
Precisely.
Mm.
And it really underscores the need for spaces where neurodiversity is celebrated, not just tolerated.
Okay.
Where stimming isn't seen as weird, but as a valid way of being, where different communication styles are valued.
Where sensory needs are acknowledged and accommodated.
Exactly. And that starts with education awareness and empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to autistic voices, learning from their experiences, and challenging those harmful stereotypes.
Yeah.
Creating a more inclusive world benefits everyone.
Beautifully said. So to kind of wrap up our deep dive today,
Yeah.
I just want to emphasize that going no contact isn't about cutting people off.
Right.
It's about choosing yourself, prioritizing your well-being,
Yes.
and building a life that truly aligns with your needs and values.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey.
Yeah,
There's a whole community out there ready to support you.
that's so important.
Trust your instincts, seek out those connections, and never be afraid to put your own happiness first.
This has been such a great conversation.
It has.
Thanks for guiding us through this complex topic.
My pleasure.
And to our listener, we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought.
Yeah.
Maybe even some tools to navigate your own journey until next time. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep being your amazing, authentic self.